Right, so if you're anything like me, your experiences with dating apps has probably been quite negative. And I've been just the same. For most of the time that I've used dating apps, if I had to sum them up in one sentence, I'd just say it's a wholeheartedly negative experience. I was just constantly using these dating apps kind of incessantly, and matching with these girls, but never really converting them into dates, and just constantly overthinking about what I was texting, should I be a bit more sort of charming? Should I be a bit more sort of charismatic, a bit more flirty? Should I ask for a number? Oh, that didn't work, maybe ask for Instagram. Just constantly overthinking about what I was doing. And just really overcomplicating what is a very simple thing. And look, the reality is dating apps are very simple to use if you just apply a few basic principles. Now, this guide is not going to teach you how to be good on dates, or how to be a good boyfriend, or how to get a second date, how to sleep with her, whatever. But what it is going to teach you is how to get those dates from dating apps, how to convert those initial matches from conversations that just kind of go off and don't really go anywhere to actual dates, like now you're actually going on a date with these girls. So I'm gonna tell you basically the sort of background to this, sort of how I changed how I use dating apps, so they now work in my favour. And it all started literally about 6 months ago, so really not very much time at all. And I'd used dating apps for several years at this point before I realised this. And so the background was I was working in charity fundraising, and basically so I was just knocking on doors, trying to get people to sign up to donate to charity. And what I realised is the way that I was getting people to give money to a charity was not the same as how I was trying to get girls to go on dates with me. And what I realised is if I applied the basic principles of charity fundraising to dating, then it would just make sense. And I'm not talking about anything remotely persuasive here. This guide isn't going to be about using persuasive tactics or sort of, trying to do specific things to make girls like you anymore. It's just simply framing. That's the thing. A lot of fundraising and sales, whatever you want to call it, is just about framing and getting the right kind of perspective about why you're on the dating app in the first place. And yeah, this method, this kind of reframe on dating apps that I had, it got me from literally never going on a date on any dating app, ever, in about 4 years of using them. Obviously, not consistently, but when I had used dating apps in the past, I literally never went on dates with them. They were just a waste of my time, basically. To going on, honestly, by the end, I was going on so many dates that I didn't have enough money to pay for all of them. So I literally had to stop because it was bankrupting me, how many dates I was going on. And I wasn't making loads of money at the time. There was that, but that is something, And that was quite a nice feeling, I'll be honest. To have that kind of inconvenience almost, that I was just going on so many dates that I just literally couldn't afford them. And honestly, this is the same can happen to you if you just apply these basic principles that I'm going to teach you for free. And yeah, I just couldn't believe how much pain I just got rid of from not knowing these basic principles. So anyway, what are the basic principles? Well, there are two main things that you really need to focus on. And the first thing is basically the intention. You need to set an intention behind using a dating app. I feel like a lot of guys, they don't really have a clear idea of why they're on there. Yeah, they want to meet some girls, whatever. But I mean, that's really the question you want to ask yourself. Like, what is the purpose of a dating app? Like, why are you even bothering to use dating apps? You know, just take a second and think about that. So, the answer that I came up with, basically, is it's to go on a date with a girl, right? And that might sound obvious, but you need to really solidify that in your mind. And until you do, like, you're not really got a clear idea of why you're on there. And basically, you just want to engineer everything that you do on a dating app to this primary aim of just go on a date with a girl. So you're not on a dating app to just indulge a bunch of shallow, pointless conversations online with a bunch of girls, a bunch of random girls on the internet. You know, that's probably not your intention, right? Your intention is just to go on a date, okay? So everything you do on the dating app has to be geared towards going on a date. Now you might say, you know, oh, I want to have sex with these girls, I want to be in a relationship with them, you know, whatever. But fundamentally, you want to go on a date, right? First things first. Okay, so set that intention in mind. And if you know a bit about sales, you know it's the exact same thing. Like, you're not there for your health. You know, you're not there to kind of have fun talking to girls online. You know, that's not most guys' idea of fun. You know, most likely you've got friends that you can talk to online already. You know, you don't need more friends. You don't need more people to text. And this the big problem is what most of people's dating life degenerates into is just texting a bunch of girls meaninglessly and it never going anywhere. Okay, so that's the first thing. Everything you do needs to be geared towards getting a date. Okay, fair enough. So how do you go on a date? How do you get a date from a dating app? Well, ask her out. You know, that's the start. You know, but there's one other thing that you need to do first, and that is to prove you're a normal person. So that is basically the how of getting a dating app. Is number one, prove you're a normal person, and then number two, as soon as you prove that you're a normal person, just ask her out as soon as you can. Okay, so how do you prove you're a normal person? Well, the key here is you just got to prove you're a normal person. You've not got to prove that you're the funniest or most charming or most interesting person ever. Now, not to say that girls aren't attracted to that, but basically, when they see your profile and they engage in conversation with you, you know, the thing that's really going to get them to want to go on a date with you is, can you engage in normal conversation? That's all they're really asking for. You know, if they're attracted to you and they see that you can engage in normal conversation, they'll think, you know what, he seems all right. I wouldn't mind going on a date with him. But the trouble is, most guys rush into these dating apps and they watch all these videos or they have all these preconceived ideas of what you do on a dating app, and they just massively overdo it with loads of flirty texting or loads of just things that just you don't need to do, and they're quite high risk and most times are not attractive. They put the woman off. So basically, you just want to prove you're a normal person, and the key to this is just not overdoing it. And there's a very simple form, like, it's not even a formula, it's so simple. But there's a very easy sort of system that you can do to just prove you're a normal person in as quick a time as possible. And at the end of that, just asking them out on a date. So what you do with this formula, I've got my notes here, is you just basically ask her 3 questions about her. And literally do this right from the get-go. So as soon as I match with a girl, I will just ask her up front just a question. You know, sometimes I won't even say hi. I'll just skip straight to the question. And you know, the key is this question doesn't need to be particularly interesting or insightful or clever. You just need to ask her a question that she can respond to. You want to basically give her an open goal to respond or to ignore you. Make it very clear cut. you're basically putting your sort of pole in the ground to say, look, here is an opportunity. I'm showing that I'm interested in you by asking a question. Here is an opportunity for you to be receptive. And it's funny because I used to use dating apps, and I used to kind of be a bit more, I wouldn't make it so obvious that I wanted to talk to her, play a bit more cool, you know. But now I realised, no, that's bullshit advice, things to do. You want to make it as obvious within reason as you can, but yeah, you want to engage in discussion. You're not here to waste time. You're not here for your health, remember. Everything you're going to be doing in this dating app is just to get girls to go on a date with you. So make the most obvious thing to respond to. You know, don't play it cool. And what I do, like 9 times out of 10, if I match with a girl, let's say, for example, she goes to university, I'll just say, what do you study at university? That's it. I won't try and do some flirty comment. I won't try and make some joke or some pun about her name. You know, I won't sort of do a chat up line or something like that. I'll just literally say some obvious question that any idiot could ask. But the thing is, you got to remember, look at your competition. And like, what are most guys doing when they match with a girl? Well, most guys are probably, they don't realise that this is how it works. And they're busy wasting their time just asking, you know, like I say, being a bit weird or being a bit flirty or, you know, saying some stupid chat up line that doesn't work. So it's quite disarming to just, for once, this girl's, you know, you've got to remember, girls get so many matches, maybe not hundreds, but loads of matches every day. And a lot of these are, like I say, guys who are just not saying anything particularly engaging. So when you disarm her by just asking her an honest question, you know, up front, that really sets you apart. And it doesn't have to be a particularly interesting question to ask her. You know, you've got to remember, at the end of the day, you're still just talking to her on text, on a social media app. You know, you're not there in person. So you don't have to ask some groundbreaking question. Now, get to the date, you know, that's a different story. You need to bring a different kind of sort of way of doing things to a date. But if you're just on the dating app, yeah, just some normal question. She's going to be like, wow, this guy's actually like bothered to ask something honest about me, you know. And she'll look at all these other guys and, you know, because I've sort of had female friends and I've looked at their dating apps and I've seen the kind of chat that most guys do, and it's just silly. They're just silly trying to impress them. But all the girl really wants is just to know that this guy is interested in her, and you can just, like I say, engage in a normal conversation. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. Just ask her a question. And, well, 2 things will happen if she replies. Which, if she is serious, you know, she actually wants to go on a date, and she's interested in you, which she probably is because she's matched with you, she will reply. Now, don't get me wrong, not every girl will reply. But not every girl is interested in actually going on a date, you know. For a lot of girls, and frankly for a lot of guys, like I say, Hinge, dating apps, they're just kind of a distraction. They're a bit of fun, you know, a way to just talk to people, to pass the time, you know, whether people realise it or not. So therefore, does it matter if a girl doesn't respond if she's not interested in going on a date with you? Well, the answer is no, right? Because the only reason we're going on a dating app is to go on a date, right? So these people are just qualifying themselves out, you know? What a great way to save time. You know, these people who aren't interested in you or aren't interested in going on a date with you, you know, they'll just filter themselves out, and you'll only be left with the girls who actually want to talk to you, okay? Okay, so if she does reply, 2 things will happen. One of 2 things will happen. She'll either reply to the question, or she'll reply and ask me a question. But it doesn't matter what she does, because whatever happens, my response is the same. I'll just ask her another light-hearted, simple question. And if she's responded if she's asked me a question or she's said something else that I could engage with, I'll engage with that as well. I'll send a separate reply. So let's say she asks me she's like, oh yeah, I'm at university, I study psychology. What do you do? I'll be like, oh yeah, I work for a tax accountant. But right after I send that, I'll ask her a question. Right off the back of that. And again, the key is you don't need to overthink it. It doesn't have to be an interesting question. It can be the most simple question ever. But the key is just the first kind of question that comes to mind. Right off the back of the last thing she said. So let's say, I study psychology. I might say, oh, that's cool. What aspects of psychology interest you the most? It's a shit question, right? But it doesn't matter, because if she's interested in you and she's actually serious and going on a date with you, she'll go, oh, he's actually bothered to reply and ask me a question. This guy, I've got all these other weird guys sending me chat up lines and, just sending me a bunch of weird stuff that I'm not interested in. But this guy is actually just asking me a normal question. He's clearly interested in me, and he's clearly a normal guy. Brilliant, So again, she will reply to that. And throughout all these stages, I should just say, you will get drop-off throughout. So you will get people who don't reply to the first question, but then you get people who reply to the second question and don't reply to the third. So it's a slow kind of trickling down. And in sales, we would refer to this as the sales funnel, But again, it doesn't matter, it's part of the process. And just trust that as you trickle people out, you will get the people who are actually worthwhile, who are actually interested in going on a date with, the qualifiers, in the first place. Okay, so let's say she responds to that question. She says, what aspects of psychology? At the moment, I'm studying behavioural psychology and attachment psychology, but I find behavioural quite boring, and attachment's really interesting. Let's say she says something like that. Okay, so I might reply to that. And these are kind of things that people have said to me just off the top of my head. Like, I don't want to say actual ones, but this is like it's not verbatim, but this is the general gist of the conversations I have. I'll go, oh, that's really interesting. I'm quite interested in. I was reading a book about attachment psychology recently, and then I'll just ask her one more question off the back of that. So I'll go, really boring one, not even a very good question. Not very sort of tactful. I wouldn't really ask this if I was, let's say I was approaching a girl. I probably wouldn't ask this, but you just say, what are you going to do after university? And then she will reply one more time. She'll be like, oh, I'm thinking about getting into, becoming a therapist. I don't know. Okay. At this point, you've shown enough of yourself for her to conclude reasonably that you're a normal person and you're nothing to worry about. You're not a weirdo. So now you've got to ask her on a date as soon as possible. And this, again, people talked about this in sales. In sales, people talk about closing at the height of impulse. So you basically want to close when you're on the door and you're talking to people. I was trying to convince people to sign up to the charity. Once I noticed they were interested in the charity, I would stop pitching them. So let's say I'm pitching you right now, and I come to the door and I say like, oh yeah, I was doing GOSH, like Great Ormond Street, which is like a children's hospital. And come to the door and I say, oh yeah, so we're helping out sick kids, and the person goes, oh gosh, yeah, my friend's son was in there like literally last month. And then I go, oh great, yeah, so the reason we're here today is we're trying to do some free accommodation for the families so that they can get, they can be close to the kids while they're being looked after. we're also trying to get free ventilation, free medical equipment so that the kids can stay in better shape. Don't you agree this is important? That doesn't sound very convincing, does it? Because the person's already said they're interested in the hospital. They're fucking friends' kids, been there. They know all this shit. And so all you're doing by continuing to talk is you're just reinforcing that you're a pitch. You're pitching them, and that you're a salesperson. You're missing out on the opportunity to make that genuine connection. The better thing to do instead is go, oh, your friend's son was at the hospital. Oh wow, how did he find it? And they'll go, oh, they're amazing. Great Ormond Street, they're a great charity. And I go, oh wow, okay. Well, look, obviously you know all about us. I'm not going to waste your time. You know more than most people, like the good stuff at the hospital do. And then I'll just cut to the chase and be like, so yeah, just cut to the chase, mate. Basically, we're just doing a big fundraiser. We're trying to get people to help us out, and for however much money it is. And in sales, this is called closing at the height of impulse. And it's the exact same thing with dating apps. It's very easy when you're talking a dating app, you get a good rapport going. You want to keep the rapport going for a bit longer because you're actually quite enjoying the conversation at this point, and you don't want to sort of cut to the chase and end the conversation. But this is exactly when you should, because the truth is, again, if you ever had female friends and you've gone on, you've looked at their dating apps, I don't know, you've been at the pub or something and they've shown you it, you'll see there are a lot of matches, and fair enough, not everyone is just having a normal conversation like you, but the truth is, there is a lot of competition on dating apps and it's very easy to be forgotten about. So you want to close as soon as you can. So basically, the fourth text you send to her is just, great, cool, that sounds really interesting. Look, do you want to go for a date sometime? And that's literally what I say. And I just cut off the conversation right there. Even if she says, something, interesting, I'll reply to it still. I'll be like, oh, that sounds really interesting, cool, blah, blah, blah. But then my next text will just be like, look, do you want to go for a date sometime? You seem like a really nice person. It'd be nice to meet you in person. And that's it. And, it's as simple as that. And yeah, just don't be afraid to cut off the convo at that point and just be like, just ask her out. Because most girls, they want someone who's a bit decisive, who's going to be like, yeah, let's do this, let's meet up. And as simple as that. Now, there are a few sort of externalities that could happen. So she could say, oh yeah, it'd be great to meet up at some point, and then continue the conversation. In which case, I would do what they call in sales is just reclose, because you don't want to go back to having a conversation once you've asked her out already, because you've already established that she's that you're a normal person, that you both want to go on a date. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go on a date. You get a date organised as soon as possible. So you want to at least firm up that you're going on a date at that point. You want to organise something. Now, obviously, you can continue the convo as well, but if you're not continuing the convo, if it feels like she's trailing away from going on a date with you, then again, she's wasting your time and you're drifting back into that territory of just having a random conversation with a girl that you don't need to have. At which point, just say look, yeah, it'd be great to go on a date. Let me know when you're free. And if she replies to that and says, yeah, let's do it, great. But if she doesn't, don't bother. Forget about it. You're only here to go on dates, remember. There's no... Dating apps aren't serving you any other function apart from that. And it's as simple as that, guys. And I know this sounds quite obvious and it sounds a bit silly and a bit weird. But honestly, I just encourage you, if you've waited this long in the video, just give it a try and see what happens, see what changes when you just start engaging with girls in dating apps in this way. And you know, comment if it doesn't work. Like, I'm a small channel, like you can see, like I'm still starting out. If you know you have an experience that is different to what I've said here, you know, you think this doesn't work, get in touch with me. Like, drop a comment, send me an email. I'll get in touch with you, and you know, we can find out where else you're going wrong. But honestly, guys, like, I wish you could take my word for it, like how much this changed my own life. You know, that I just went from, you know, never getting dates on Hinge or Tinder, to just suddenly my calendar was just full of like girls' names that I was gonna see, and it was ridiculous. And like I say, like I just drove myself to borderline broke because I was just going all these dates. And like I say, like I was a charity fundraiser. I was hardly making lots of money at the time. But you know, it's not nothing, is it? It's not nothing that I was able to do that. And I put it 100% down to this method. It's not even a method, that's the thing. It's just a reframing how to use dating apps. You know, there's nothing I've said here that's like all devious tactics on Hinge. You know, all those videos are bullshit, guys. You don't need to learn some sort of chat-up line or like you know, any sort of tricks and tips. Just bring your own personality to the table. Ask her 3 questions about herself, you know, and you know, once you've engaged a bit of interest in her, you've shown you're a normal person, just ask her out on a date as soon as you can. You know, the next text, just ask her out, and it really is as simple as that. Now, like I say, there's a lot that this isn't going to teach you. It's not going to teach you how to act on the date. You know, you can be great at getting dates, but then the actual dates you go on are a disaster because you don't have very good. You're not very good at going on a date. You know, fair enough. That's a different video. That's a different video that I'm making this channel. Or, you know, this isn't going to tell you how to turn those dates into relationships, or, you know, one night stands, or whatever, you know, whatever you want out of dating. But it is going to get those dates in the first place. And I think for most guys, that's probably the most important thing, to just get a few dates in the bag and just get the wheels moving a bit. So yeah, it's really as simple as that, guys. Like I say, drop a comment if you found this helpful, or if you didn't, you know, and if you didn't, you know, I'll try and, you know, I'll get in touch. We'll see where you're going wrong, and you know, I can help you improve. But apart from that, guys, it's been a pleasure. If you enjoy this kind of content, like I say, you want to learn more, particularly about this kind of stuff, top link in description. Book a free coach call with me. We can discuss your goals. You know, get you hitting some goals, hold you accountable to what you want out of self-improvement. You know, realize why you're watching these videos and what you want out of your life. Like I say, just book a link. It'll be just click the link, book a session with me. Be completely free. Just a consulting call, and yeah, we'll go from there. But apart from that, guys, thanks for watching this. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.